finally get confirmation that The Social Network Part 2 is in the works. David Fincher directed The Social Network, a movie that was nominated for Best Picture, snubbed for Best Picture, following the King's Speech's win.
Thank you.
David Fincher should have won for Best Director. Still searching for that Best Director. Jesse Eisenberg did not win Best Actor. Probably should have won Best Actor. So we're getting a part 2 to this movie. No Fincher, but we're getting Aaron Sorkin writing and directing. Aaron Sorkin wrote the first, obviously, Social Network movie. It's unknown if Jesse Eisenberg is going to return as Mark Zuckerberg in the film. This part 2 will be based on the Wall Street Journal series, The Facebook Files. Insiders say that while it's being called a part 2, it's not a straight up sequel, but rather a follow-up to the original movie that explored the origins of what would become the world's biggest social media platform. It's going to portray Facebook's role in the 2020 election, as well as its effect on teens, violence, and countries outside of the U.S. The source providing this news update was Deadline. Ricky Flex, what is your interest level in this, Ricky Flex, the Social Network Part 2 and all the parts that come with it?
Well, the interest level is sky high because Social Network, I think it's one of, if not the best film, not only of the 2010s, but of the 21st century. David Fincher, top 3 director for me. I think this is one of the best performances in the 21st century. And Jesse Eisenberg, the movie itself is one of my favorite movies of all time. So the interest level in a sequel, obviously, I love it. But this is set up poorly. This is not set up well. Aaron Sorkin writing, great. This guy can write a smart guy better than anyone on the planet, or has ever been, right? This guy can write a Mark Zuckerberg, right? He can write any genius ever better than anybody. But doing a sequel with him directing, which he has been hit or miss for sure, to be nice about it, and adapting, like like something political, something like Being the Ricardos, as an example, has not necessarily been good, okay? Or portrayed well on the screen, right? The script itself, there's some great dialogue, there's some great performances within that, but the story itself, there are flaws, and then the directing elements just aren't good enough. They're just not David Fincher level in The Social Network. And I'm looking at you. I'm afraid you're gonna we are on opposite sides here, but I'm still gonna say it. This 2020 election thing too, you could say it's too soon, whatever. I just don't think it's a good story to attack here. There's so many other things to attack within Zuckerberg and Facebook, and a potential sequel to The Social Network, whether it's direct or indirect. There's so many other things. I think what he's trying to tackle here with the Wall Street Journal's Facebook Files is probably like 10th most interesting thing that you could have done. And it's going to be polarizing. And with Sorkin, who's very outwardly political, it's ballsy. It's ballsy. So I don't know. I'm not comfortable without David Fincher / a formidable director. I am comfortable with Aaron Sorkin writing, right? I think it's going to be Jesse Eisenberg. Would love for him to come back, but I wouldn't be surprised if he says no. And again, last thing, we're not going to see Andrew Garfield as Ed Savran. That's confirmed with this plot. So that's disappointing.
I agree that the parts of this movie, when you read it, you are like, this has no chance to live up to The Social Network. And I will make the argument eventually that I think it's going to be good. You could say Aaron Sorkin hasn't been the best director. He is an Academy Award winning, writer. He had Trial of Chicago 7 he directed. He did Being the Ricardos. I didn't hate Being the Ricardos. Trial of the Chicago 7, I think severely overrated and pretty boring. I think the fact that, or the idea that Jesse Eisenberg doesn't reprise his role hurts the movie. When you're talking about The Social Network Part 2, you kind of hope to see Mark Zuckerberg. There's plenty to talk about with Mark Zuckerberg. You hope to see him. I don't think this report said he definitely will not be available for the sequel, but it's kind of hard when you ask somebody to kind of channel the character that they took to the Oscar stage 15 years ago. But I will say the scope is also massive, which also makes it like a daunting task. And you're talking about like 2020. You're talking about January 6th. You're talking about misinformation. You're talking about the acquisition of Instagram. You are talking about so many different events when you look at compared to the origins of Facebook. And that movie was made, The Social Network was made only a couple of years after Facebook had been around. So it's like this idea of like recency and is it how soon is it to make a movie? There's no movie that did it better than The Social Network, and how that has stood the test of time. Like in 2010 when it came out, and you have similar, themes that you could see in 2025 that you had in 2010 when they made that movie. But I think this will be good because I think this is going to be the best directorial job Aaron Sorkin could do. Right? He's got experience under his belt being a director, but when you look at like this Facebook files and you look at the Wall Street Journal, like journaling all these events, I think this is going to be episodic, this movie. And maybe you don't need Dave, you don't need a Mark Zuckerberg as much if it's episodic. And if it's episodic, it's going through these different phases of Facebook. Who has made a movie like this before? Who has written a movie like this before? That's pinpointing certain moments on a timeline and transporting you along that timeline. That'd be Aaron Sorkin when he wrote Steve Jobs. If they build this movie in an episodic way, I think it could be pretty successful. So that's the way you kind of handle the large scope of it all. It's not going to beat The Social Network because no other movie beats The Social Network, but do I think it could be good? I am going to bet that it will be good.
You're doing a good job convincing me.
Devil's advocate.
You're doing a good job. I'll say this. I love the episodic take. The problem is you said it, the scope is too big. This isn't a Steve Jobs where you could just do 3 launches. They're going to be focusing on more like in this thing, they say, talk about the 2020 election. Like there's going to be a focus on the politics. It's going to be hard to do an episodic thing within the political world. If you tell me it's going to be the Facebook influence on society, then wow, I could come up with a great 3-act episodic movie where you could just do Instagram acquisition, then you could do Cambridge Analytica, and then you could do 2020. Or you could do, there's so many things you could tackle within that, right? But I don't think that's going to be the case. I would love, though, this is an episodic. This should be a TV series with Aaron Sorkin writing. This should be.
House of Cards. Wait, did he write House of Cards?
No.
Fincher produced
David Fincher. No. God, other one. The 90s. One. Martin Sheen.
Yeah. You're talking about West Wing?
West Wing. Thank you. West Wing. He's done it before. I think this would be great as a TV series. Right?
Yeah.
And then you tackle, and you could even tackle
miniseries.
Yes, and the metaverse, right? We've seen these TV series like Jared Leto, WeWork, Adam Naiman. We just saw that one. Imagine Aaron Sorkin trying to do that. He would dominate that. The movie part just makes it difficult because I don't trust him as a director, and also structuring a movie around his directorialship where everything just flows. I don't see it. I trust him with the dialogue. I just do not trust him in every other capacity. And that's where you need a Fincher who's so great, who usually doesn't write on his own. I know Mank, but that was more his dad in the 90s and whatnot. So it's a little whatever. But he's so, Fincher is literally a director's director where he just can take a script and then perfect it while shooting and editing. Right? He could perfect it. And that's what Sorkin needs. A guy like that.
Maybe
he is not that guy.
You think I think Fincher will get an opportunity to see the movie way before its release. I wonder if Fincher wants this movie made. I assume he gave it a green light if the movie's being made. He just can't make it because he makes movies for Netflix now, at least for the next 3 years.
Well, who's the one person that won an Oscar for The Social Network? It's Aaron Sorkin.
I think if this movie's being made, I have a hard time seeing David Fincher being like, I don't want this movie to exist. I assume that him and Aaron Sorkin are good friends. That's me going out on a limb. I don't know if they're best buds. I don't know if they're enemies, but I would go out on a limb and say they can get along and have a working relationship. I am interested if he didn't have this Netflix deal, would David Fincher direct the movie? Is he not directing it obviously because of this Netflix contract? It's so crazy because what if Fincher wanted to make this and Fincher is not allowed to make The Social Network Part 2? He has Aaron Sorkin writing it. Quentin Tarantino basically is just refusing to make the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood Part 2 with Cliff Booth, and he's having David Fincher make it. It's just like this weird triangle that's happening right now where the directors that should be directing movies they conceive of, their ideas, just not doing them. It's a very, very weird triangle that we find ourselves in right now.
And I'll say I'm coming off hard. I do think there's an opportunity for this to be great. I think you convinced me enough. I'm not like hating on this. I was like, it sounds like I am. I do think there's an opportunity this could be good, right? I do like Molly's Game. I think Molly's Game is hated on too much. I think that's a good movie, right? There's some flaws, but I think that's good. Being the Ricardos, you like it more than me. Same with the Trial of Chicago 7. You like it more than me.
Bardem does it for me, dude.
I love Bardem. I love Bardem in F1 coming up Monday. But I just think like for me, like I tweeted this out. Like it is weird how Fincher is doing a Tarantino movie, but not this, right? And I would just assume like, why wouldn't you want to do this? Or you just hated it this much, or you don't want to come close because 2010 is a different world than 2025, and you're tackling this head on with the politics here and the polarizing political climate that we're in. I get it. And I think for the Sorkin element is, I think if it was flipped, if it was David Fincher directing and Aaron Sorkin wasn't writing or attached to this project, I would also be nervous. Not as much.
This is also,
but because
these conversations that are going to be had in this movie, it's like what Sorkin was made for. It's high elites, powerful people behind closed doors making decisions that are going to impact millions, if not billions of people. And he is so good at giving stakes to them, making feeling like every word is like carefully picked out and crafted, curated conversations. And if it is episodic, it's like going to be like one important conversation after another. Like Aaron Sorkin, this is what he does. I agree. We'd be in better hands if he was writing it, Fincher was directing it. At least you got Sorkin writing it, at least. And I think with the experience he's had as a director, I think it can be good. I think it could be good. It could be a bit of a fall off. I saw someone tweet out, it's going to be the greatest fall off potentially ever for a sequel. And may I direct you to Joker Foley and Do.
There's a lot of fall offs.
This kid drop off as badly as Joker 2 did. I think it's going to be closer than that.
There's so many examples. That's a bad take.
Let's think. Can we think of any right now? What is the biggest sequel drop off?
Well, some people would say
Jaws?
Force Awakens to The Last Jedi.
Jaws.
Oh, Jaws. Jurassic Park.
Jaws. Yeah, that's also not I don't think Spielberg did Jaws 2, right?
No.
And did Spielberg? I think did Spielberg do the sequel to Jurassic Park? Is that the Lost World?
No, he did not. Sorry. I was also thinking Indiana Jones because of Spielberg. Temple of Doom.
You could do T2 to T3.
Yeah, if we want to go second to third.
Yeah, let's think about first installments. This is a fun conversation. Biggest drop. Maybe we do that as a potential draft.
That is a good potential top billing.
Let's leave it as a draft. Top billing draft.
I think we just gave a bunch off the dome in 60 seconds that are significantly worse. Potential.
Well, we don't know. We don't know about this yet.
But come on. Like, let's just say this is being the Ricardos, but a little worse. That is not nearly as bad as a fall off that we just said for any of the films we just said.
Yes. I think Jaws 2 takes the cake. Okay. And Eisenberg, does he have to return? Does he have to return for this to be good?
No, to be good, no. But it's ideal.
That's where it makes me think that he's not necessary if they're calling it a part 2 and not a direct sequel. Like if it's a direct sequel, if you say like this is 2, like it's the next in continuation of a story, I would be like, okay, so we have Andrew Garfield has to come back as Eduardo Saverin as well, But I think this is just telling the story of Facebook rather than just Mark Zuckerberg. I think they can get away with maybe just limited screen time of Zuckerberg. Maybe Eisenberg would be open to that You know, I got to see Zuckerberg on the surfboard with the sunblock, dude. I got to see him, taking down some people in the octagon. Like, come on, just a couple, just
Elon,
something.
who's Elon?
The first movie is iconic for making him look like an asshole. I need to have a little taste of that in the sequel. I need to see a little bit of asshole Zuckerberg, or like thinking he's cool Zuckerberg. You got to
Give us
give me that.
Rogan. Who's playing
Yes, give us
Rogan?
Rogan. Who will play? Let's get Dave Bautista to play Rogan.
Rogan, Elon, Trump. Like they're attacking the most polarizing area. They might as well go all in.